This is part of the plan, of course. 6 to 8 weeks in this courthouse every single day where he's berated and his team by this compromised Democrat activist judge and harassed by the media. And then, of course, looking down the horizon, there are a few more court proceedings and trials that he will have to possibly deal with. So it's really a tragic situation. It doesn't just deprive him of his life and liberty, but the American people from hearing now what his plans are as he runs to try to defeat this unpopular, incompetent, corrupt President Joe Biden. So this has been more than a 3-month battle with Judge Aileen Cannon, the Department of Justice, Special Counsel Jack Smith, and Trump's attorneys and co-defendants to unseal and make public documentation and records that signal and prove that Joe Biden's White House, his general counsel, and the Department of Justice, and the FBI, and the National Archives, and the intelligence community, among other agencies, were all in cahoots as early as May of 2021 to manufacture a documents, records related investigation and prosecution of Donald Trump. You have to give kudos to Judge Cannon, who is so courageous and has continued to confront Special Counsel Jack Smith and his attempt to keep information not just from Donald Trump and his co-defendants, but also from the American people. And now we know why, Steve, because yesterday an extensive motion that had been redacted under a protective order and that Jack Smith wanted to keep that way, in addition to dozens of exhibits that demonstrated close collaboration between Joe Biden's White House, Joe Biden's general counsel, Joe Biden's Department of Justice, Joe Biden's FBI, the National Archives, Joe Biden's intelligence community, to once again work behind the scenes to concoct and manufacture some sort of documents or records case against Donald Trump. And this dates back at least to May of 2021, where, as you know, the archives working with DOJ, pressuring Team Trump to turn over what they insisted were government records that they were entitled to under the Presidential Records Act. So finally, as you know, he produced those records, but they were impatient, we were told, and they were taking that time in 2021 to concoct another criminal case and investigation, which they did. And they were working collaboratively with Jonathan Sue, who is Biden's White House general counsel at the time. And finally, when Donald Trump produced those 15 boxes of documents, handed them over to the archives couldn't really specify, Steve, what they wanted, except for, let's see, remember the Sharpie Gate map of Hurricane Dorian? That was one record they said they wanted. The letter that Barack Obama left for Donald Trump in the Oval Office, some other correspondence. So then, within 24 hours, the National Archivist in January 2022 claimed that he saw classified papers in there, worked again with DOJ to create this criminal referral and send it to the FBI in February of 2022. Now, Steve, that's the story that we've been told. The boxes were turned over. Oops, there were classified documents. Then the FBI and DOJ got involved. No. The FBI and DOJ, at least the DOJ, top officials, including the Office of the Deputy Attorney General, Lisa Monaco, deeply involved in creating this case. That is why Special Counsel Jack Smith and the DOJ wanted this material and this evidence under seal. And it was, for the most part, unredacted and made public on the docket yesterday. So what it looked like initially, Steve, is that they were going to create a records destruction case against Donald Trump in 2021. The archives and long-term career employees now in the Biden White House insisting that there were like 25 boxes of records that were missing and demanding that Trump turn those over. Well, his team, he had Presidential Records Act representatives. One of them was Mark Meadows, who was working with the archives trying to figure out what the hell they wanted. And they just kept making things up as they went along. And so they were already working and had already crafted what these records demonstrate. They were already drafting a criminal referral by September of 2021. Well, for what? Certainly wasn't for classified records, because they claim that they didn't know about that until January, February of 2022. So they were making something else up, a records destruction or something along those lines. And so this was another operation, DOJ, led by Lisa Monaco, the intelligence community, led by Avril Haines, both of whom very close advisors, as you know, to Barack Obama, one who runs the DOJ right now, the other who runs the intelligence community, going back to their old days, getting the gang back together, Russia collusion, FISAgate, which both Monaco and Haines were deeply involved with, and now concocting a documents case and then ending up with what we have now, which is an Espionage Act and obstruction case against Trump and his two co-defendants. What I posted yesterday, 24 hours ago, the redacted copies of the motion from January and redacted exhibits and the unredacted version. As of right now, Steve, and I'm not bragging, I'm just saying the facts, those tweets have 3.5 million views in one day. So our side is very aware of what's happening. There were some retweets. I believe it was Representative Dan Bishop. I didn't catch everyone. But I mean, this has gone viral on our side and the public and public social media on our side. It was interesting. I will say the corporate media J6 reporters who overlooked pretty much all facets of this, but that's to be expected. So, Steve, I don't know. We know that Joe Biden pushed the Department of Justice to pursue the January 6th criminal indictment against Donald Trump, too. And now we have proof that he, his White House, and his top officials at DOJ and the intel community and others were working behind the scenes, again, conspiring, to your point, a criminal conspiracy to entrap Donald Trump. Look, that's what this is. This is like the Whitmer Fed. This is another entrapment operation. You had Donald Trump and his representatives acting in good faith, fully cooperating with NARA and DOJ, despite what Jack Smith and the media asserts. I mean, Steve, in June of 2022, Donald Trump delayed his trip to Bedminster to settle there for the summer so he could greet Jay Bratt, the counterintelligence chief from DOJ, and 3 FBI agents at Mar-a-Lago, told them, look around, we'll give you whatever you want. Here, you gave us a subpoena last month. Here's the documents that we found. We're trying to be responsive. We're trying to be helpful. Then they turn around 2 months later and they raid Mar-a-Lago. And so they set him up. I mean, this is an entrapment operation. And you had the top officials, including Biden White House lawyers, who were deeply involved in this. And I don't know where House Republicans, I know there's a lot of things going on right now, but what could be more important than this, and this tied to all of the criminal prosecutions? You, Peter Navarro, 1,400 Americans now, his two co-defendants, Valtin Nada and Carlos de Oliveira, who are being dragged through the mud with no evidence against them as co-defendants in classified documents. I'm at a loss for words where our Republican leadership in Washington is and has been on these issues. You know, I've been covering the classified documents case since the beginning. I covered the special master case, Aileen Cannon. This dates back to August of 2022. So I've covered this probably as closely as anyone, at least on our side. There's no way to catch up to what's happening here without, briefing from someone who has been in the courthouse, has watched Judge Cannon and Jay Bratt and the defense attorneys in action, and read almost all of these motions from the beginning. So no, I haven't heard.